Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well out there. Today we're putting together this little board, a little synth that I'm calling Elements. Usually when I build something like this, I add complicated power supply, and there's wires, and there's extra like reverb and echo modules and everything else. But this time I want to keep it as simple as possible so anyone can build this. So instead of like an external power supply via LiPo, I've got a 9-volt battery that we can add into it. It's got no case, so there's a front panel. Oh, it goes that way, and then the front panel and the PCB will join to the back of the front panel. No case at all, so it is really kept it simple. And there's a few goals I wanted to get out of building this. Again, keeping it simple. I also wanted to have no wires, so there's no wires connected to this. You can connect it externally to like sequencers. And it's got to have a real loud, great sound, and it's got to be playable as well, which this thing is. We're going to get started to build this thing. We're going to add the components on the back. We'll start with the resistors. I'm not going to film the whole process of me adding all these components. It's kind of boring watching someone solder, but I will stop at certain points. Like it's got 3 Vactrols which we've got to make. There's a couple little bits and pieces which I'll show you how we do that. So we'll start with the back side first. Alright, our resistors are all complete and added and double checked, soldered into place. So now I think we're going to go with the IC inserts. Always make sure that you've got the notch the right way. Pretty straightforward, I guess, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world. It just means that you've got to be careful. So when you're putting these IC sockets in, it's always best just to do a corner first, like that, and then make sure that they're sitting flush, which they are. So I'll go ahead and solder the rest of those in, and then move on to the Vactrols. All my talk about making sure you put the ICs in right, and I did this one wrong. Doesn't really matter, just got to be aware that when I'm putting this IC in, I've got to put it around the other way. I could desolder it, but I'm not going to bother. Alrighty-o, so let's make a Vactrol. You'll need a little white LED. Get one of these flathead ones, 5mm, and then a light dependent resistor or LDR, and then all you're going to do is put them into heat shrink and make sure that they're touching like that. So got a little piece of 5mm heat shrink here which the LED fits into. We want to push it in until there's a little bit of flap at the end, and then we're going to hit it with a lighter. Let me pull this out a bit. We'll hit it with a lighter and then we'll crimp the end. So I've got a pair of pliers ready. Just a bit of heat and then quickly crimp the ends like that. And then put the LDR in the other end. I'm just going to straighten these legs up a bit. Hit it again with the lighter, get rid of the pliers, and crimp the other end. Then I just like to hit it again with the lighter to really make sure that heat shrink is round, nice and tight. You don't want to get any light seeping through or escaping. So the next thing to do is to bend the legs, but you've got to make sure you bend them the right way. You want the positive on the right, negative on the left. So do that and then bend the legs down. And then bend the LDR legs down. Like that. Now that will position those legs in the right position for when you put it into the PCB. So we'll trim those now. like that. Oh, and these are used for, so there's one for a control voltage. So yeah, I know it's not real control voltage or CV, but it does work. And then I've built a couple more, and that's to help control the pulse width modulator in the synth. So on the board, you can see that I've added a positive and a negative against each of these pads. Positive for the LED leg, negative for the LED leg, just to help you. So make sure you put these in the right way first, so I know that that's LED there. Alright, cool. Let's solder those in place. Voila! Added. I just wanted to show you guys a little IC tester that I built some time ago. I'll put a link into the description on the PCB and how to build your own. It's pretty straightforward, but I can test 358s in this, and you could just stick the 358 in there, and if the lights flash, which they are, then the IC is cool. It's always good to check the ICs. I've built a few of these synths, well, similar synths using 358s, and I've had 41s in the past, so this has come in handy. That's it. That's the first side of the board done. So next we'll do the front side. So when adding this little switch with the 6 legs, there's a way to determine which way to put it up. So if you put it up the wrong way, or put it in the wrong way, it will always be off or always be on. So you need to be always off, and then if you look, you can see the little mark inside there. That's got to be pointed up. So if I show you the top of the board, there's the little mark where my finger is. It's got to go in that way. Like that. The solder pads in these are very close together, so just be careful when you're soldering this as well. I'll just add a little bit of solder to hold it in place. Like that. I'll show you what I need to do with this. It's a little tricky, there's not much room. Just add a little bit of solder. See, they're not touching, but there's not much room between the pads, so just be wary of that. Alright, so I've actually got all the components in. You can see I haven't done the LED yet, and the LDRs, and these 2 LDRs here. You can actually play this with your hand as well. I'm not going to solder those in until I've got the front panel in. Actually, let's do a test. Oh yes, that's very nice. I'm really happy with that. That looks great. So the reason why I haven't put the LED in yet is it needs to be raised up a little. So we'll use a green LED. This is actually important to note. Don't use a yellow or a red LED, because for some reason it affects the Vactrol, the LED inside the Vactrol, and nothing will happen. You can use a green or a blue or white. So we'll use a green. Shot myself in the head. Okay, so you can see the LED sitting up there like that. Let's try and put this case back on again, or the top, sorry, not the case. Ah, cool. The LED's just sticking out the top. You can't really see it, but that's all I wanted, to stick out the top. I'm really excited about this. This looks really nice. Okay, so we should test everything I've got a little knob thing there for that. Cool. Alright. Here we are. Got the front panel done. Got the back panel done. Actually, we're close to getting front panel done. You may notice that right here, there's two little bits missing, and they're for the LDRs. I can't add those yet until put the front on. So we'll put the front on and then solder them into place in the back there. I haven't tested it yet, so hopefully everything's good and we can give it a test. So I've got a battery here. So we'll stick this battery in. Turn it on. We've got some action, we've got some lights. It's quite bright, so maybe I have added an LED. I actually don't mind that being that bright, it's cool. And our speed works, which is great. Alright. So we can do a test now without these LDRs. The resonance won't work here, but that's okay. We'll just give it a test run. So I've got a speaker, plug it into the outs. Yes! To hold the panel into place, I've got these little supports. So I think what we'll do is secure into the front panel first. Just screw them into place like this. Okay, I've got that into place. Now, it sits pretty straight, actually. I was going to extend these down to make little legs, but I don't think I need to do that. I think the way it sits is pretty good. Woo! We are done. Built. You can see I've added some clear acrylic on the bottom. Got these spacers here just to hold it off the battery. It's quite close, but it protects the electronics and circuits inside and everything else. So I've added these little stoppers as well, just so it sits flat. Yeah, let's play this thing. It sounds amazing. So this is Elements. I've got a little speaker here. We'll just try it with the speaker first, and then we'll plug in a sequencer. So turn it on. So that bass. Cut off. Speed. So for the LDRs I use a bottle lid just to cover it, so you get a bit of sound. So resonance up, start get hearing. Woo! She's powerful, man. That's a deep bass this thing's got. So now I'm going to plug in this little sequencer that I've got. Pick them up pretty cheap. Put the CV in and gates. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's pretty mean. It's a lot of fun. For a little synth, it's got a beastie sound to it. So if you want to build your own, I've included all of the Gerber files, schematics, everything else in the link in the description. I'm also done Instructable's how-to, I guess. It's got everything in there as well, so check that out. Yeah, a lot of fun, considering how many components are in this thing, which is bugger all. It's got a meaty sound to it, so a lot of fun to play with. Hope you enjoyed the builds. Hope you make your own. I've got a few more of these little kind of mini synths to build. And this is the first one in the kind of series, so yeah, keep on building and have fun. See you soon.